I didn't choose to study at AUBG. It was the only option available. This was in 1991. Albania had just opened up, and there were not many opportunities. We knew, my friends and I, that there were scholarships being offered by the Italian government, and that was obviously the dream. When we went to the Italian embassy, there was a crowd of people, and I just did not want to stand in line. I mean, I was small then, I'm small now. I'd be crushed there. At one point a friend said, did you hear about this American university in Bulgaria? Let's give it a shot. We went to the Soros Foundation, which was handling the application process. Both of us took the applications, both of us applied. I got admitted, he didn't. The driving force was study outside Albania, not so much picking Bulgaria or the American university. So in that sense, it was very serendipitous that I ended up where I did. I can't say that I had this opinion or this motivation when I started studying. I studied economics because my father told me I had to study something useful, otherwise I'd die of hunger. And economics was supposed to be useful. I'm not so sure now. I studied history because if I had a choice, left to my own devices, that's what I would do. I would study history, and I've decided that before I retire, or perhaps after I retire, I'll get a graduate degree in history. Now, how do they end up being useful to each other and to me? Recently I read an expression that the most undervalued asset in Wall Street is history books. I've come to think that it's not just in Wall Street, but generally humanity has rather short memory. So those people that have certain understanding or pay attention or read history perhaps are a bit better prepared. If not so much to avoid or to circumvent events, but rather to prevent, but rather to navigate. As for economics, it was a cultural clash, really, in the sense that nothing that I studied so far to the point of getting to the university prepared me for what Economics 101 had to offer. And that does change you the way you think. I'd say at a cellular, molecular level. Having said that, the first day at work I understood that I did not know anything. So most of what the university gives you is not so much in the actual knowledge, unless you're a doctor or engineer or so on, but it builds character and it prepares you to react to circumstances, learn from them. It teaches habits, discipline, more than actual knowledge. Over time, if you've been lucky enough for some of that knowledge to still reside in your brain, you can put that knowledge against the experience that you gain, practical experience, and thus become not just smarter, but also hopefully wiser. I considered it as a pit stop, as a temporary stop to my eventual return to Albania. I had promised my father that I would eventually work with him, and that I'd build my own business. Never did I think that I would work for a company or for a corporation. Even when I was at the university, I thought of Bulgaria as a good way to enrich myself, my experience professionally, and prepare myself for the eventual return to Albania. And then in 2001, 2002, two things happened. I decided to start my own business, and I met my future wife. So my options narrowed down considerably. You leave AUBG, but it never leaves you. Even those alumni that do not actively participate in the life of the university or in the life of the alumni association, or that do not donate regularly, have extremely strong opinions and feelings about the university. It is almost unavoidable that you get together with AUBG graduates, that the topic of the university and what's going on at the university, it's unavoidable that it comes up. So in that sense, it was almost inevitable that whenever I had the opportunity, the chance and the means, I would do something for the university. I did not realize it at the time, but as I've grown older and become wiser, I've realized that it was bound to happen. And I am convinced that that is the case for most, if not all, AUBG graduates. The crisis exacerbates the weaknesses of institutions. And for an institution like ours, that is still not in the greatest situation, especially because most of its students, close to 60%, rely on work travel programs to finance their continued education. I feel it's not just important, it is vital that we support or provide extra support to the university so that it can support these students who, for whom the crisis has created not simply health issues, but also educational issues. Many of them have to reconsider today whether they're going to take a leave of absence, or if they come back, how will they and their families be able to support themselves during the next academic year? So I think it's incumbent upon us, the alumni, to help out not the institutions so much, but the students that have come after us, in the hope that they will show the same support for the students that will come after them. I don't think there's anyone in the world, except those people that live extremely isolated, that has not suffered or felt the effects of this pandemic. There have been the tragic health results, effects of the pandemic. There have been the obvious economic effects, and there are the not so obvious psychological effects of the crisis. And I feel, especially for graduating students, the current prospects for work and life seem a bit bleak. I've got news for you. Your 20s, the whole decade, will seem a bit bleak. Not so much because of this crisis. If it wasn't this, it would be something else. My feeling is that most of the psychological drama that one feels during the 20s comes as a result of the gap between aspirations and reality. As long as we keep the perspective that we're going to pursue these aspirations, regardless of the current circumstances, then we can also have a certain, positive spin on what is going on today. Or as the wise people said, this too shall pass.